Still up just a tiny bit. Does that make things better or worse? Worse. Just the foot. Alright, I think that's about as close as we can be to being where I want to see. Well, good evening, all my wonderful fluffs. Caddie here with you tonight, feeling rather pretty. So, well, looks like I have a whole crowd of me right now, but since I'm recording this, we'll just go with it. Anyway, hi. Welcome to my chat stream. Tonight we have Cadpig, actual Cadpig, as opposed to me playing any other character. So you get to enjoy actual me on a chat stream. Yay! This is also going to be rebroadcast entirely on my YouTube channel, so you'll be able to re-see this on Wednesday when I set it up again. So look forward to that if you miss this tonight. Then again, if you're hearing this part, you probably came in then and not now. Well, anyway, since there's nobody here to talk to yet, I'll just start talking, and well, we'll have that for the video part later. I had some things I was thinking about recently, and one of them was we went to the mall. I know. Big excitement. You went to the mall. Congratulations. Do you want a cookie? Yes, please. I would love a cookie. But, more specifically, I recognized we had a couple of new stores, and I had kind of that mall magic again for the first time in quite a long time, where you feel like you're actually getting to look at something different, and it's not 99.9% clothing or shoes. And it really brought me back to when I would first go to the mall when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure well under half the stores in any of the malls we went to were clothing. And that's counting the end cap stores as individual stores. Even those weren't just clothing. Montgomery Ward, Sears, JCPenney, those are the ones I remember when I was a kid. They all also had like electronics departments and tools departments and other things that weren't just clothing. So I even liked to browse those stores back then because they had something for me. They had something I'd actually enjoy looking at. The video games section in the Sears is where I picked up Sonic Spinball. So it's also where I played it a bunch for free while Mom tried on clothes. Good sales tactic there, Sears. You actually sold a product by having a display out. Now look at you. But as time went by, and the mall algorithm really started to hit, a lot of the more interesting and weird stores started to get phased out of every mall that I know of. So we started to lose our Earth Magics and our different game stores besides GameStop. An actual toy store like KB Toy Store is no longer in the mall. I really miss that. I honestly... It wasn't the best toy store, but it was a toy store in the mall where you could get video games, G.I. Joes, Legos, the whole spiel. And generally, they were a good selection of stuff. I remember there used to be, most malls had at least a modest-sized dedicated arcade that I remember. So you would have a room full of arcade machines. Oh, people. Hello, TD Man. Hello, Wild Fox. Welcome to the stream. I was just babbling about malls so far. So, you don't miss much. If you have anything to talk about, please feel free to chime in. Or if you have any entertaining anecdotal bits, I'll be happy to add them into the party. um, so, yeah, there were a lot of fun stores before, and anytime we seem to get a new fun store that isn't a clothing store, it doesn't seem to last very long. Like we had ThinkGeek showed up for a while, and that disappeared. Disney stores were amazing. Yeah. No, those are all basically gone. I really kind of miss those. That was a fun experience. It was like having a little Disney World in your own home mall. That you didn't have to, sit on an airplane for 6 hours and get on a bus another hour to get to your hotel, then to get to a Disney store. No, you had one right there in your state, in your mall, and you could buy a new Mickey Mouse plushie that didn't look like it came from Walmart. You could get a t-shirt that had, Daisy Duck on or something. Ooh, whatever your Disney fantasy was, you had it right there. Aw, thank you, Lady Luna Wolf. Thank you for saying I'm a cutie. You're a cutie. And food courts, that's one of the few things I think we've kept at least somewhat diverse. It almost seems like it is the same food court from when I was a teenager now, with just different faces in each of the boxes. I know our food court in my local mall has a Thai restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, Japanese restaurant, all right next to each other, which makes for some interesting conflicting smells when you walk past. You're like, oh, wait, which one am I smelling again? I don't know. It's hard to tell. They're all kind of blending now. And you're still not a child. You are correct. I'm an adult. And you'll get one or two American restaurants in there, like a burger joint or a sandwich place, maybe a French fry hut. Our Dairy Queen / Orange Julius moved out of the food court area, and so did the pretzel place. They're not in with other foods, so I find that a little bit annoying because I like all the food to be in one spot. It makes it easier. Even the Starbucks over by itself. When do you want to be? When I feel like being little, to be a kid. But Caddie's kind of a kid, so that's a thing. And the bookstore, I don't remember which one it still exists as, Barnes & Noble or Borders, whichever one lived. I don't know, I don't care. They're the same thing in my eyes. Except one's gone. It's turned into so much more of a variety store now than just a bookstore. For one thing, they've had a coffee shop inside of them forever, which I find amusing since in our mall, it is one of the absolute closest stores to the Starbucks. And at least at some point I think it was a Starbucks in there. It might still be. I don't remember. But Annie Ann still has 2 locations in our mall. Oh, they do. That's right. That's that one that's upstairs, that little kiosk one. I tend to not notice those things. They just sort of blend in. Does B. Dalton still exist? I don't know. I don't. I don't think we have one at our mall anyway, or any mall I've been to in a while. I do know I go to the bookstore for games because they're one of the few places that actually carries BattleTech stuff. They had like 6 sets of the beginner box when I was there this last weekend, and one add-on set of mechs that was unfortunately one I already have, but it was one of the good ones. It had the Vulture slash Mad Dog in it. It's my favorite mech. uh, GameStop is definitely not what it used to be as far as being a fun place to go to look for used games. When I started to have real freedom back in my early 20s and whatnot, and had a car and a job and could go to the mall, GameStop was definitely, or whichever one we had at the time, an EB or Babbage's or Software, etc. Because those are all owned by the same company now. It was so much fun to go in there and look through the wall of used games, which were actually reasonably discounted from the new models. And they gave you a reason why you were considering buying a PlayStation 1 game, even though you have a PlayStation 2, because you could play it on that system. Or they still, long past whenever they were still a thing being sold, they had like Super Nintendo games out for sale. Now it seems if it's barely not the one of the current generations, it's just out the door. We are not going to have that on the shelves. Like DS and 3DS games, I've seen those mostly disappear. Anytime their little used cabinet for those, which is basically a display stand for the little cartridge itself, they don't even keep the box anymore, which, I've always kept the boxes for those, and I'd be really bummed if you turn them in for a trade-in and someone just chucks it in the bin and saves a little cartridge only, because inventory space, this little cartridge is all you need. Haha, bing. Kind of sad, but what are you gonna do? I can't make GameStop do what we want. But now, half the store is variety tchotchkes and figures and things, which I actually look at. It's like the only thing I ever end up looking at there. And just current video game systems, what's actually getting new games produced for them exists on the shelves and used for those game systems. And the used games, no matter how old they are only marked down about $5 from the new price model. So at which point, I'm going to spend $5 to get the new one if it's there, because then I have a disc that's definitely not scratched up. And if there's some kind of DLC codes or unlockables in the package, I know I have those. Yeah. And it really grinds my gears that they often will have display boxes for the game system, but not actually have them on hand. Like, oh, I saw you had a box for it at the time of it. OLED switch. You want to get one of those? They had 2 boxes in their case. Locked case. Isn't those boxes in the locked case? Nothing. They locked away empty boxes that said OLED switch. Why would you have to lock away an empty box? Is someone going to come in and steal the empty box? Probably. Probably. But still, it was a nice walk around this weekend. There was at least one new weird store. It was very variety. It had some new age stuff. It had some really old things. It looked like it was kind of a thrifty, old, stuffy, antique store, sort of. I didn't find anything I needed, but it was definitely a breath of fresh air to walk through a new type of store that hasn't been there for a while. I definitely don't see that one lasting very long, though, because mall space are expensive, and if you're not getting a lot of sales, you're not going anywhere. You're not staying there long. Um, we had a not Lego store in our mall for a while. Um, what I mean was, it was a store that sold only Legos, but they weren't a Lego brand sourced store. They were a independent company, and they were actually also trying to specialize in selling some used Legos as well, and um, assembling sets that could potentially sell for at least a nice set of change from pieces they had lying around. So it was a cool concept, but again, if you're not making a lot of sales, and the store usually seemed fairly sparse, like they had a nice size storefront in the mall and all sorts of shelves, and there'd be like one Lego box, brand new, space for almost another one, then another Lego box, space for almost another one, then another Lego box, and it really felt like the store was empty of actual new product, and their used product was all in like the display case, like a jewelry display case where the glass counter and they're all in little shelves. So it's not dead. It's not in the mall anymore. It actually did move to one of the plazas near me. I haven't gotten it since it moved there, but it had the same name, and it moved into one of the used furniture stores that was there before. So, well, at least that storefront's not empty anymore. But I don't know how long they're going to last with not mall foot traffic to a obscure store like that. Which is sad, because I would happily support Lego if they were going to sell anything I wanted. That being like, say the new modular set comes out. If I knew January 1st they were going to have it on stock, I wouldn't order online. I'd be over there January 1st to pick it up in person. Heck, even if they had the option to pre-order it and know it was going to be there on January 1st, I would have done that. I would have handed them money a week ahead of time or something and then had it. But they aren't that kind of store. They're just basically a retail store selling as specific as Walmart sells Legos. They don't bring it out early. They don't give you any special way to pre-order it. It's just, it's on the shelf. It's yours now. Math. So, but mostly, yes, I'm lamenting over the loss of the shopping mall as it was. There's a certain magic to going to a building full of stores to look for new video games or new toys or new electronics, as opposed to having to sit there and browse on 5 different websites and see who's going to give you the best price for that keyboard you kind of liked. And you can't touch any of these things before you purchase them online. And that then becomes potentially a hassle if you don't like when you get it. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm going to send this back because I don't like this keyboard. I came in the mail, I clicked it, I don't like clickies.
Easton Mall has a Lego store and Legoland.
That is awesome. I know we have a Lego store down in the mall by Indianapolis, but not the mall near us, unfortunately. I'd have to drive an hour and a half to 2 hours to go to a actual Lego store. If we have one of those present in our mall, I'd be at the mall a lot more. Just saying. Build-A-Bear is still fun, but they've been lacking a lot lately too. I was looking at some of the Easter clothes, and a very simple dress for the bears was like $15 now, whereas about 10 years ago, a very complicated dress would be $12.50. And basically, if it feels like it's just a cutout with a skirt bottom on it and a not really nice fabric, I'm not paying them $15 for it. I have several wedding dresses from different eras of Build-A-Bear's dresses as they slowly declined in quality to the point where I didn't buy the new one because I just felt like it just didn't have anything going on. It was thin, cheap satin. It was just plain, basically a shoulder strap dress and a veil that clipped onto the bear's ears. And nothing going on. My first one actually felt like it was bridal satin. It had some layer to it. It had a good bit of shape to it. It had puffed sleeves. It had a little filigree on the chest area. It had dress to it. And the first one I didn't buy, it looked like a white smock and a piece of cloth to hide over the bear's face.
Yeah, sometimes I'm a good little kid at heart.
But hey, nobody says you're going to have to grow out of toys. I do occasionally get the nostalgic taste for going to the mall and getting a plate of teriyaki. Shmush from the Japanese restaurant. That wasn't one of the first things that existed in our mall back when I was a kid. In fact, those came in around my early teen years, like 12 to 13, 14 zone. And I remember being excited for teriyaki because, you had Toothpick Sample Guy was standing out in front of the building, in front of his little kiosk, and you tried that first piece of teriyaki chicken you've ever had, and it blows your mind because you've never had this before. I know. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, so don't judge me for the fact that I know teriyaki until the mall came up with it in the early '90s. And just the magic of them making it fresh there on the little flat top grill in the mall, where you can see them going from uncooked chicken to a plate full of chicken with sauce on it, and they hand it to you. It's like, oh, and so it's magic. I ate dinner just before this, and now I'm hungry for teriyaki chicken from the mall. That's my own fault. Yeah. Besides that,
The mall I grew up in was an indoor strip mall with no food courts, so I was amazing for me to see the bigger malls whenever I the next word. Scrolly wheel. I think the mouse over there. I've lost my mouse. There we are. When I travel. Oh, there we are. Yay. Sorry, sometimes the last word of a statement gets lost. My thing was always getting orange Julios, but they changed their recipe now. So I was going,
You are right. I don't find orange jellies are quite the same as they used to be. Uh, though sadly, I think they would have disappeared had Dairy Queen not bought them out. Because they were unfortunately they were hemorrhaging money like crazy, and they're not the same anymore. But at least they're still in existence, so that's at least something we can take away. Oh, and since you're probably now an adult enough to have this recipe, we did figure out a boozy orange Julius that was very inexpensive and easy to assemble. Uh, Take a small tumbler glass and about half an inch of uh, whipped cream, vodka, about then fill the glass to about 3/4 full with orange juice, orange pineapple juice, and finish the other quarter off with almond milk. It mixes nicely, it doesn't curdle, and it tastes like a ever so slightly tasting, but definitely hitting alcoholic orange Julius. You can also try this over, buzzed up with some ice in the blender if you're so inclined for the smoothie style. But the flavor was basically there. Yeah, made me happy. Now, the mall shopping part was fun, but the whole purpose was going out this weekend. Um, Actually, kind of made me a little bummed because we went out to go out and eat. Primary option was we had a Red Robin gift card. Back in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, if you went to the Red Robin any day, any hour, you got seated right away because it was over in the weird parking lot by the Target. They were never busy. However, here in Fort Wayne, the Red Robin is attached to the mall. Which means if it's open, it's probably busy. The only times I'd ever gone to that Red Robin and it not been super busy was 11:30 in the morning, right after going to the zoo. At which point we actually got seated right away. We had food very quickly. It was good, no problems. Saturday night we went. Around 5 o'clock, we walked up towards the Red Robin. We never even made it in the door because there was a crowd of people outside waiting for tables. And that didn't include the interior waiting area, which was like packed person to person, heading up towards where the little sign-in desk was. And it was just like, well, we're not even going to try that. So we left there. We were heading towards BJ's. A nice, little bit of everything. Pretty nice bar foodie type place. If you don't have one near you, that's what it is. We walked in there. And they answered 90-minute wait. So we walked right back out of there. Got back in the car. I'm not waiting 90 minutes to order food, to wait another hour to get food. That's 2.5 hours of my time, not including eating the food. Drove to the next parking lot over, which usually this one, when everyone else has been busy, has worked for us. It's called Cheddar's. You know, that is something like an Applebee's, Chili's, Ruby Tuesday kind of miscellaneous Americana type place. Usually, no matter how busy everything else has been in town, That will seat us right away. They said it was going to be an hour and a half as well. We went home. We just we surrendered. We're not getting food out tonight. Because after I got out of there, I Google Maps it and I was looking at all the restaurants around that I even would consider going to, and every restaurant listed busier than usual, except like one. Complete opposite corner where we were. I almost went to it just out of like surrendering, but I had just made General Tso's chicken Friday night. It's Saturday night. And the thing I found was an Asian fusion place up on DuPont, which is actually pretty good. But I wasn't wanting to go eat rice after I had literally just had rice and chicken for dinner the night before and for lunch that day. So I wasn't really wanting to do that. We succeeded finally by just we ate at home Saturday night, and Sunday a little after 11 we went into the mall. We did get seated right away, which was good. We got the Red Robin. It was a nice long wait though for food because the place was packed. A little after 11 and it was packed. I didn't know that many people went out to eat lunch on a Sunday, let alone early. Wow. Y'all need to go back to having a life again. Pre-March 2020, we would usually go out to eat at least once on a week, usually on the weekend. And I was just finally willing to, push forward to try and do this again. But if it's going to be like that, it's almost impossible to consider going out to some of these restaurants when you're either going to have to call ahead, go out to eat extra old person style, like 4 p.m. dinner, because otherwise you're not getting in there.
Dine-in options are crazy busy on Saturdays. That's why I usually avoid most of them. Sometimes, if I want them, I'll go on a Sunday for dinner when it's less busy.
Does sound like a better option. I've gotten used to cooking at home most of the time, so it's not like I've become unaccustomed to dealing with food at home or something. It's just sometimes you like that little special moment where neither of you are responsible for actually cooking the dinner. You can just sit down, you can talk and be together, and have kind of a little date thing. And someone brings you food. They keep coming and refilling your Diet Coke over and over again, no matter how many times you drink it all. And you think you're getting a great value, even though you realize you just paid $3 for less than a 2 liter of Diet Coke. But, you still do your best to get your value out of that that drink. Yeah. So I miss a lot of that stuff. I think I've adapted a lot of my fun shopping to going to all the different individual department stores, like going to a couple of different Targets, going to a couple of different Walmarts, the different Myers, just to see who's got what in stock. Even then, it's more of a I'll go to the one store and I'll say, find a pair of pants I really like that this Walmart has, but they don't have my size. or they have one pair in my size. I'll buy that one, and then I'll go to the other 4 Walmarts in town to see if any of them have more in my size, and I'll buy the one pair any of them do have, and fill out my stock. And occasionally, if you know something is for sale at, say, a Target or a Meijer, and you go, okay, I know that this toy was released. I know I could potentially get a physical copy of it without having to online snipe it at a Target. And you'll go to all the Targets in town and see if you find one.
This sometimes works. Okay.
And sometimes you see a set of toys that you weren't expecting to find released at one of them, and you're like, oh, they have this series of things released, and I knew they were coming out, but they only have these couple at this store. You go to the next store and see if they had more of them. But that's my weird habits. Oh, and something that you're all probably suffering from so far, having been watching me so far tonight. Yes, there are ads now on my Twitch. I do apologize about that to some extent. I'm sorry you're having to see ads, but if it makes you feel better, they definitely are helping. I've actually gotten the report back from last week's 2 streams that would have had ads. And I know it's not all the money in the world, but so far it's accumulated to 66 cents worth of ads I've earned from you guys having to see a couple of ads here and there. So it's not all the money in the world, but it does say that Twitch is officially paying me more than YouTube has paid me over almost 3 years. I started my YouTube channel in June of 2020, and I still am 290 some followers away from being able to monetize. So if you see any ads on my YouTube channel, I don't get paid jack for that.
I haven't seen any ads. Well, you do also have the star next to your name, Wild. I think you got gifted a sub. I know some sneaky fox came in and gifted a few subs out there, so that might be why you're not seeing any.
So, that's kind of nice to know that I have at least some income from this.
That's why I have a star. Yes. You have the star because you are a subscriber for the month. Lady Luna Wolf has a little crown next to, I'm assuming her, since it's a lady. Her name, that means she has Amazon Prime attached to her Twitch account.
Which, by the way, for anyone that doesn't know this, if you have Amazon Prime, it's free to attach to your Twitch account, and you get 1 free sub to hand out to any streamer you want per month. That will effectively be a free subscription to their channel. You don't pay for it, they still get the credit for it and get paid out for it. So it's basically free money on the table if you're Amazon Prime subscriber. Give it to someone you like. You don't have to beat me. I'm not like begging for anything. But you can give it to whatever streamer you so like. I know quite a few out there that I feel like deserve them. I can't afford to pay everybody $5 a month, but here and there I might squeeze one out, and the Prime sub, I always make sure someone gets that. That never is going to be money sitting on my table, I can't give mine to myself, so I can't give it to me, but I can give it to somebody else. um, and I actually got another art commission over the weekend. I was kind of surprised after my rant about I had to raise my price because I was flustered by what I was getting asked to do for $10. So I actually raised my price. I'm probably still undercharging, but to the level of am I having fun drawing compared to do I feel like I'm making value for my hours put into an art? You kind of gotta. I'm willing to balance a little bit of I'm having fun into that. So someone actually commissioned a 2 character art piece, which I charge the full price per character, and they didn't question it. I was shocked. Someone thought my art was worth paying for. uh, so yeah, that was a good thing. I got that already inked out so far. I need to color and finish that off sometime this week. But yay! People think my art's worth buying. Mm. So, between random art commissions that may or may not happen, but surely happen, the little bit of ad money I get off of Twitch, and if anyone does decide to press that subscribe button, okay, love you if you do, and my Patreon money, which has slowly been getting a little better from people that watch my YouTube channel mostly.
Speaking of commissions, I want to get a dress made by you.
That's a bit of a sticky wicket. Though I do love making dresses, it is really hard to make something like I do to make it fit someone else. And I have only once had someone not completely balk at me at the cost of materials / labor to put together a dress. I've done like total of 3 or 4 dress commissions. Every single one of them has, except one, has been a bad experience. One was a good experience. They knew who they are. They tell me all the time how much they still love their dress. Everything I do is hand sewn. Materials are not cheap. Even a simple dress, the materials alone usually exceeds $100. That does not include any time I spend designing the dress, cutting fabric, sewing, and making sure everything is done right. And depending on what additives that the customer wants, like I want lacy trim on it, that stuff's expensive. I want some fur trim on it, also expensive. I want extra layers in the skirt, expensive. And time consuming. Well, that one's actually one of the cheaper ones. Adding a little petticoatery to a dress, crinoline and netting are actually really, really inexpensive per yard. But people don't understand you don't immediately get Shirley Temple level poof skirt out of one pass with netting. You're looking at like dozens of yards of support material to make a nice poofed out skirt.
Yeah.
Material's been expensive, unfortunately, for a while, and it's just getting worse. I was looking at some satin at Joann's a couple weeks ago, and whew, that pink was nice. It was okay. I didn't really feel like spending $13 a yard on satin that I thought was okay. Um, I can buy the Walmart stuff, which I've done more than a few times. It's actually really soft, and it's usually about $2 a yard. The problem is it can easily be worn out, and if you're selling it to people, I'm not going to be there to fix if a seam stretches out, and I just have to sew a line back together. I can't fix it, therefore I don't want to sell something that's going to need fix. Conundrums. I'll use it maybe for lining on a dress I'd make for someone else, but I wouldn't use it for, say, the main body, because if you get a rip down the front, that seam right there or the arm rips, you've either got to fix it yourself or you got to mail it back to me, and I don't want a lifetime of homework on a dress I made. Especially since most people don't want to pay to get repairs.
I have no experience making patterns or oversized patterns. uh,
Until about 15 years ago, neither did I. um, the reason why I started making dresses was because I was so frustrated I couldn't get a princess dress that fit me. I don't like the Halloween stuff and whatnot. You always see these pretty, like Disney princess dresses. They always look so lovely. Even the cheap ones looked pretty. But as a definitely plus size adult person, it was so hard to find something that fit. And this one year, I saw a Cinderella dress that I figured out I could almost fit. So I bought a corset and I kept tightening it. I kept making sure I could get it tight enough till I could have my waist down just far enough to fit into this dress before I was willing to buy it. And I bought it. And I enjoyed it. I wore it to Anthrocon, actually. And had a good time with that. But then I used the concept of that dress. I measured the skirt panels, and I was like, okay, can I make this happen? Measured the length, the around the bottom. I estimated the waist up to what I actually wanted to make sure it was, and that's when I actually made my first princess dress of my own, because I basically copied the four triangles of the skirt in concept, sewed them together, and I was like, that fit, that worked. Then I figured out, like, I pieced together the bodice. And when I say I pieced together, I really mean I pieced it together. I like, all right, I'm going to put this on the front. All right, I made a front panel. How big I wanted it. I'm going to make these two panels on the side of the front panel. Okay, I sewed them on. I held them up to me. And then I measured the rest of the way around me. And I was like, okay, now what do I need to finish this loop? And then I kept going until I had a finished dress. I just like went chunks at a time. And I still wear that dress all the time.
I've had my battles with finding the right size dresses.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed, Wild. I have, I've redone a zipper or two for you to know that you've had quite the valley of joy trying to do that, too. Such a hassle. And even having lost a lot of weight and legit, I know my waist is a lot slimmer than it used to be. It does still, it's still really hard for me to find anything that I can be pretty sure is my size, or at least that I can add a panel to make my size. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the congratulations. um, but yeah, I know I've dropped at least 2 dress sizes since I started losing weight. Um, but even then, I'm still way up in the plus department. And when you start adding, if I want to wear it on me or if I want to wear it on a fursuit, full body as opposed to just like a muffin top. Muffin top is when there's just like sleeves and chest fur, so that, so that you save inches of dress.
I'm 6'4" and very broad shouldered and big belly.
The height won't be the problem, but broad shouldered, that's one of my problems. Uh, Big chest cavity, and fortunately, the belly has been shrinking considerably, so that's a good thing. And
Muffin tops are cute. Thank you.
several of my fursuits I have now made muffin tops for. Much easier to deal with when wearing a dress that just fits, and or you're going out in the July sun and do not wish to have an extra layer of fur all over your body as well as multiple layers of satin, because that turns into a sweat oven that no one can see that you're wearing, so why would it matter? uh, but if you are doing your best to try and fit into something you can buy off the rack, and your biggest hurdle is your waist size, highly recommend trying a corset and just wear it around the house. Don't put it up to the point where you can't breathe. Just put it up to the point where you feel like it's really hugging you tightly and you can still breathe fine. And just wear that around for a day, a large part of a day. Continue that another day. Put it on again. Keep wearing around the house. Try not to overexert yourself because you are now effectively cutting off your air supply slightly as you do this. But as long as you're gentle, you don't go for too far, you can easily work your way to the point where you can squeeze yourself in by a dress size or 2 possibly, just by wearing one under your clothes.
Broad shoulders have been a big issue for me, but I've lately found a size that works for me. Good, Wild Fox.
I am glad. Uh, I know I can, if it's just for on my body, safely order at least down to a 24, sometimes a 22, if it's giving you actual dress size in the US. If I'm going for on a fursuit, I try to avoid less than a 26, just because depending on which suit is going to be worn, it's got its own layer of fur, and that adds to your body so quickly. You'd be surprised how a dress that feels loose on you, and you add even the thin layer like Caddie here, this thin fur made a dress that I had a lot of loose space in feel like I was going to explode if I moved wrong.
Your height too. If I find one that I can't get, then it's too short.
That can sometimes be a blessing and a curse. Because if you get a dress that is proper length, then it might potentially be dragging on the ground and might step on it. It might get, if you're wearing it out and about, it might get grungy from rubbing up against the pavement. If it's up just a little bit off the ground, that's usually okay. That means you don't get it dirty, and you just have to make sure you're wearing some cute shoes. Maybe stockings. Or if you're doing it pretending to be in fursuit the whole way down, your fluffy feet. I'll definitely admit that a few times Daisy has been when her feet were potentially going to be exposed, I wore her feet under the dress, but not, well, her legs. Occasionally I would wear. I have a pair of leg warmers I made out of the same fur as she is. I'd wear them on above her feet just in case something happened and my feet were exposed. Not that it ever happened, but I was prepared. I have had a little bit of creative sewing bug lately. I did make that one new skirt, which I uploaded a video of like 2 weeks ago on Monday. The really fluffy fur line dress. I was really amused by that. And if you're watching this right now, feel happy to know that there will be another video with that dress coming up tonight. I'll release after I'm done with this stream. I put it on YouTube, so I mean the only people that are going to get a preview of this are the people that are in the stream right now. The people watching this video on Wednesday are, well, it already happened. So if you're watching this on YouTube on Wednesday or later, this other video existed. It's the one before this one. Yeah. It was a random thing that I thought of. Just, well, I like the idea that the inside of a petticoat always looked fluffy, and I always kind of wished it was fur sometimes. And I was like, well, why can't it be? Also, why does the what's there making masks have to be just crunchy material like crinoline or netting? I was like, well, why don't I make it a pouch full of polyfill? So I just made a double layer skirt, fur on the inside and satin on the outside. It's reversible too, so I can flop it around and have it be fur on the outside, satin on the inside. And just have polyfill in between the two layers and give it a big poof. And unsurprisingly, it worked pretty well. It looks cute. It's fun. It's really bouncy. It's going to Anthrocon. Well, anyway, we are rounding up towards 8 o'clock here. Did anyone else have any other topics or questions they wanted to ask me or talk about tonight? I'll give you a little time because I know there's a delay. And then you have to type. And since nobody used it, I'm going to use my own redeem and redeem some water. Anthrocon water. Water brought to you by the lovely convention known as Anthrocon. Currently hosted in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. Coming up this summer. This is not a sponsor. This is just me babbling about something I have in my hands. Someone said something cool. What cons am I going to this year? Anthrocon and MFF. Same two as last year, fortunately. I already have registration and hotel paid for at Anthrocon. I've not done the same for MFF yet. I'm waiting for confirmation from my room getter to know that we have a room before I put in for that registration. But he doesn't get to get that until later this year, so we'll leave that on the air moment. I may be possibly going to MFF. Oh, cool. It's a fun con. Learn the magic of DoorDash before you go. Figure out how to use it. I promise. You'll not regret it. It'll be later this summer. I'm not revealing who my room getter is, but their text may come from a blue name. Anyway, I gotta head out. Good night, Wild. Have a good rest of your night. Okay. Well, we are going to wrap this up then. I'm going to stop the recording phase.